That's a beautiful cover. I Am Healing, 7 Secrets to Wellness and Self-Care. We need that. We need that.
It's a lot of us taking care of everybody else except taking care of ourselves. And that's what I saw myself doing. I saw myself taking care of my kids. I was workaholic. I was taking care of my husband. I was taking care of my friends. I was taking care of my grown kids. And I wasn't taking care of me. I needed to change my life. I didn't want to live in fear anymore. I didn't want to worry anymore. I didn't want to live in panic or anxiety anymore. I wanted to make sure that I got back to who I really was, which was I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm peaceful, I'm loving, I'm sassy, and I'm fun. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. I don't care who you are, what you're going through. When you are going through something and you're in the trenches of it, you feel like nobody else is going through what you're going through. And I promise you that is not true.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Hey, doing well. Thanks. How are you, David?
I am great. I am very good. First off, before we get started, I'd like to remind everybody to please like and share this video. And we have a great topic today.
Awesome. Yeah, coping with failure and moving forward. Well, I'm Simon Timm. I'm the author of The Self-Salutation. And Priscilla ZENO is away this morning, but we have with us David Eric Hodge. David, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Okay. Well, I am a peer recovery specialist and a volunteer at that Zen Life Wellness Foundation. And this morning, I have a topic that I'd like to share with you, the viewer, Simon, on not letting your ego get in the way of your happiness. It actually popped up the wrong manner there.
Yeah. Tell me, this is such an important topic. How did this bug get in your mind?
This topic, when we were going over topics the other day during the meeting, this was one of the ones that stuck out to me personally because it was one of the largest struggles I've had in my personal journey of recovery.
No kidding. Wow. That's such a, I think that the ego does get in the way of our happiness. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But so many of us, it's so hard to realize that that's what's going on. It doesn't seem like that's what the ego is doing.
Definitely never, and especially not right in the moment.
What's that?
I say, especially not right in that moment when you're dealing with something.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I actually, if you don't mind, I actually brought a clip that is a great example of this.
Cool, I'd love to see it.
Okay, let's give you a little background on the clip real quick. This is an excerpt from Will Smith's Red Table Talk with Janet Hubert. For those of you who don't know, she was the original Aunt Viv on the show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, seasons 1 through 4. And we'll go ahead and roll the clip and get into it.
not hearing anything. Are you hearing it?
No, we seem to be having an audio issue. Folks, please give us one moment.
We'll work that out. We'll work that out. But while we're working that out, I'd love to hear, just a little more about this issue. Like, how did you? Oops, I lost David. David, are you there? Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what. There you are.
Sorry about that. What was your question, Simon? I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. So I'd love to hear just a bit about how you even begin to recognize this when it's happening, because
I really think it starts with knowing yourself and like knowing what emotional states you're in while you're dealing with conflict or stressful interaction with someone. That's usually when our ego comes into play, when we're feeling like hurt, scared, or damaged.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I believe we have the clip queued back up. We're going to try this one more time, guys.
I was 21 years old.
Yeah,
You
I know. I know.
Everything was a threat to me.
Why was I a threat?
Not you, the world. I was so driven by fear and jokes and comedy and all of that.
Yeah, you were live. You were live. But what you didn't realize either, that I was going through a lot at home.
Right.
You didn't know. You guys didn't know. Very abusive marriage.
I have children.
Yeah.
I've been divorced and got a second marriage, and I can see now the level of pain and the level of struggle that it was for you just to show up every day.
All right. And that was the clip, Simon.
Wow.
And I feel like this clip is a perfect example of two people that were in two completely different spaces, responding to two different things and affecting each other. Unfortunately, Will's ego was the thing that damaged that relationship or caused that rift between them.
Tell me more of the backstory.
Okay, so she was the actress Janet Hubert. She was the original Aunt Viv on the show. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the show or not. And her and Will would butt heads all the time. Got to the point where they began a little tick for tack thing once they had their little riff, which people often fall into when they feel wrong. They jump right to a sense of, I need to defend myself, which brings me to my first topic on this video, number one, which is don't be so defensive. Or don't be on the defensive. Because we often, when we encounter something, we immediately just jump to defend ourselves and don't respond appropriately to the situation at all times. And moving on to number two, which is don't over self-analyze. We often overanalyze ourselves and feel that we have control over things that we realistically have no control over, or think that maybe if we had done one thing different, maybe these set of actions wouldn't happen. And life just doesn't work like that. So let's not over self-analyze. Some self-analyzation is good, because that's how you foster change within yourself, but don't overdo it. And then number three, stay away from targeted negativity. And targeted negativity is when you make a conscious decision to do something negative to affect another person, or the tit for tat strategy. For instance, for example, one of your friends do something that you may not like, or you're having a riff with one of them, you make a snarky Facebook post. Or one of your colleagues may have gotten a promotion that you felt you may have been more fit for, and you choose not to sign their congratulatory card, or post in the group chat congratulations with everyone else because you feel some type of way about it. Stay away from things like that. It's better to just communicate with the other person, other people, what's actually causing that feeling. How do you feel about this, Simon?
I think this is such a key one. It's so hard to do in the moment, though. You know, when the blood is boiling and you want to lash out, or someone's lashed out at you, and you can feel the passive aggression or whatever it is that whatever move they're putting on you, and you just you really want to just take it, there's that, you think it's going to feel so good to have that release, that launch that negativity onto them. It's so hard to pull back from that and to disengage from their basically their ego is, they're acting out of their ego's in the way, and your ego my ego gets flared out, wants to engage with it. So yeah, I think that that third one of disengaging from that negativity, that is such a key to.
Yeah, that was one of the largest parts of my battle, like just that particular portion there, because as soon as the situation arose, I'd immediately jump to, I have to respond, and it has to be like this to put an end to it.
Yeah.
And Priscilla says,
it's hard to let it go.
It's hard to let it go.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes, it is, definitely. Definitely. Do you have any tips of your own, Simon, that you feel might fit this topic for?
It's a really big topic, and I feel like I think a point you made it much earlier really is important to highlight when we're talking about the ego, which is that you're gonna the more you know yourself, the more you come to to understand yourself, you're gonna move beyond that level of being wrapped up in your ego. Yeah, you're going to learn how to do that, and it's not like a quick one-time fix, because we're so entwined in it after a lifetime of it being our second nature.
Definitely.
So,
and on that note, I think it's time to pay some bills real quick. So we'll take a quick commercial break and come right back.
Wonderful.
I needed to change my life. I didn't want to live in fear anymore. I didn't want to worry anymore. I didn't want to live in panic or anxiety anymore. I wanted to make sure that I got back to who I really was, which was, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm peaceful, I'm loving, I'm sassy, and I'm fun. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. I don't care who you are, what you're going through. When you are going through something and you're in the trenches of it, you feel like nobody else is going through what you're going through. And I promise you that is not true.
All right, and we're back. Over the commercial break, Simon, we had a question come in. Why don't we want to become more vulnerable and let people know when we are hurt instead of hurting them? And I feel like that is a great question, and I feel it often comes from people feeling that they'd be viewed as weak by just coming right out and saying, hey, this hurt my feelings or made me feel this way. And our egos, and that's really when our egos take control is when we feel hurt or vulnerable. And I feel it's more than one of those last animalistic instincts that humans have to overcome, of that fear of, okay, if I show the pack that I'm injured or hurt, I'll be left behind or eaten by the pack. And I think that's what caused people to put that mask on and not be able to sit down and say, like, hey, Simon, what you did the other day kind of hurt my feelings and made me feel like this. So there could be that open line of communication there versus a tit for tat thing getting started. How do you feel? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. I think it's a we think that it's somehow going to be an easier solution or a better solution, or somehow it looks to us as if like there's this, I think there's like a survival element to it, like and that survival element, it just when we kind of, it's like people always talk about the reptilian part of your brain, and you kind of responding with the fight or flight, and so it's definitely that's why things like meditation are so helpful. Get us out of that reactive part of ourselves, get us into the heart, get us into the to a place where we can really see from a true perspective what's important in life, like this relationship, this person, being honest with them, sharing our heart, connecting with them. Those kinds of things are possible when we get into our hearts. But when we're in the reptilian part of the brain where we're fighting for survival, it's hopeless. Yeah.
Mindfulness keeps your ego in check for sure, and it definitely does.
Yeah.
Especially for me, because I find myself reeling myself in multiple times a day sometimes. I'll encounter something, and my first instant response is usually not going to be their best response for that situation. I usually have to dial it back and go with the next thing that's more suitable.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's that drive is this, it's deep rooted. It comes out first, but learning how to take a breath and respond with your higher self.
Priscilla says she has an angel on her shoulder saying, "Priscilla, come back." Yes, I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting how quickly that thought process happens. It's literally 3 to 5 seconds after you hear something or encounter something where your brain's zipping trying to make that, where you're internally torn on how to respond to it.
Yeah. Well, and I understand that you also have we've talked a little bit about mindfulness and meditation as solutions, as ways of helping to resolve this. And I think that you also have an affirmation to share with us. Is that right? Yep. We lost David there for a second.
I do have an affirmation, Simon, and it is, although everything doesn't deserve a response, everything deserves your best response.
That's beautiful.
Thanks, son.
Can you share that again and tell me?
Although everything may not require a response, everything requires your best response.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's pulling out your, let's see, Priscilla has a comment here. We never know what others are going through also. Well, we're going
through. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. It's often hard to see something from the other person's side of the fence, because we're so worried about things going on in our own personal yard to acknowledge, like, hey, maybe this person was having a bad day already before we had this interaction.
Yeah. So true. So true. Oops. Yeah. So I think that that affirmation you have. So how do you use that affirmation? Is that something that you repeat to yourself, or that's just a meditation that you kind of carry with you throughout the day?
It's more something I've been keeping myself mindful of for the past few years.
Yeah.
When I found myself responding to things, and then, or like that deep rooted like part of our brain respond to it, and then not getting the reaction that I wanted in the situation, like most of the time getting worse. And I only felt, and I would feel in that moment like, yes, I dealt with this, I told that person off, and then some other things happened, and like, well, maybe if I gave it a better response, I wouldn't be in this current situation now.
Yeah. Just I know that feeling. I know that feeling. So yeah, I think what I love about that meditation is that it's really calling forth your highest and best self in each moment. And I think that's such an important part of mindfulness as I practice it and teach it, which is this that we have to, throughout our day, it's not just something that you even say once in the morning. It's like throughout our day, we need to continually set our intention, call forth our highest self, bring that into the day, so that we're giving our best to life. You know, so that we're giving our best to life. Yes. So we're here. We're talking about the topic of is your ego getting in the way of your happy? Yeah, is your ego getting in the way of your happy? And and that's so much of what it does. It might not seem like that's what the ego is doing at the time.
I have a question for you, Simon.
Yeah.
Have you ever personally had a situation where your ego got in the way of your happy?
No. My ego doesn't get in the way of my.
Did I aspire to reach your level of mindfulness? Because I have definitely had those situations in life.
Yeah. No, I think that's the key thing. So it happens to me throughout, every day. Every day there's a point in the day where or a few points in the day where I have to where I hopefully recognize my ego before it surfaces, but not always, and so yeah.
I sometimes think of mine like a little Jack in the Box, like the conversation turns the crank, then all of a sudden it just pops out. And I'm like, wait, no, come back in the box. You have to get it under control.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Priscilla says her and her ego fight daily.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that, and it is definitely a daily struggle, which is completely normal. I don't want anybody to view this video and feel like oh, maybe we're calling someone over egotistical or anything. Having some bit of an ego is good for your own personal self-esteem. You just can't let that be the part of you that communicates with everyone all the time.
That's an interesting way of framing it. Yeah. Yeah. I think, absolutely. We need the self, and that's a great point that you're touching on. I mean, we got to have self-worth. You have to have a sense of your worth and carry that with you. And defeating, reining in the ego doesn't mean that you're not going to, check someone when it's appropriate to check someone. I was, yesterday I was in a conversation with someone, a vendor that I was engaging in for my work, and they just completely blew it, and I had to call them out. I had to, check them and say, hey, never do that again. Never do that again. And draw a really clear line with them. So that's necessary. That's part of life. You gotta, this is a world, you've got a lot of other egos coming at us, right? So we have to be able to check other, to be able to respond in ways to people. But and in order to do that, you have to have a sense of your worth. Like, hey, I'm not, it's, you see people flying these flags, don't tread on me. And it has a kind of political connotation right now that is, I think, I don't like the way they're going with that, but there's a part of like, hey, don't tread on me. But there's a, I think, some positive part of that intention, like, hey, I have my limits, I have my boundaries, but you need a sense of worth to do that, but you got to check that ego at the same time. Yeah, David. Now,
do you feel it's like our egos that kind of get us amped up to draw those lines in the sand with people in relationships?
I mean, there's different ways of looking at it, and it's sort of like people use different language. I prefer to use to talk about it in terms of if you have a sense of worth as opposed to the ego, So if you have a sense of your own self-worth, you can establish your kind of
boundaries
with people while you're, without it being an ego thing. They might think it's an ego thing because no one likes it when someone draws a boundary with, no one likes it. So they might think it's an ego thing, but the question is, was it an ego thing or not? And from your perspective. So yeah. So I like to think of it in terms of if you have a positive sense of self-worth.
When we hate to feel vulnerable and talk, when we are hurt and the ego knows that.
Yeah. I think that's of course PERCILLA is always she's always rocking the deep wisdom here. But so yeah, it's that's part of how the ego continues its reign, is that sometimes the cost of reigning in the ego is that you got to go through some some vulnerable feelings.
It's almost like an investment. Like responding with the ego is that instant payout, but reeling it in and actually communicating properly and dealing with the situation is that long-term IRA cash out.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're gonna feel way better in the long run. Trust me. You might have, it's way better than a little bling in the short term. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to let's see. I'd love to hear. Can you remind us of those main 3 points that you had here? Our time is wrapping up here, David.
All right, yes, we'll go over the major 3 points one more time on how to keep your ego from getting in the way of your happy. Number 1, don't be on the defensive. Everybody is not attacking you. Number 2, do not over self-analyze. Some self-analyzation is good, but don't overdo it to the point you're stressed out and everything. Number 3, stay away from targeted negativity.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Don't engage in premeditated acts of negativity just because you weren't able to communicate with someone in that time to say how you felt about something. And finally, our affirmation that we shared earlier: everything may not deserve a response, but every situation deserves our best response.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, David. We have with us today our guest, David Eric Hodge. David is that Zen Life Wellness Foundation volunteer for 9 months. He recently graduated as a peer recovery specialist through the Department of Behavioral Services in Virginia. And he's been sharing his deep reflections on how to stop your ego from getting in the way of your happy. And I'm Simon Timm. I am the author of The Self-Salutation, and we got a congratulations to David on it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And Priscilla Zeno Zeno, the healing partner, will be back with us next week as we continue with our Wellness Wednesdays. Thanks so much for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Please like and share the video. Have a great day. Thank you.